Hello, everybody. Happy Friday.
Hi, how you doing?
All good. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, I'm trying to. This is interesting.
We'll get started in just a second, see if a couple more people pop in. All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. This is a Lunch and Learn that is a preview for the symposium on April 10th that is titled Weaving the Future, Replicating Education and Workforce Programs to Drive Digital Transformation. So just as an introduction, I'm Meredith Rogers. I'm the program manager for the Defense Industrial Base STEM grant. That's a little bit of the work that we're going to talk about today.
My name is Ryan Nichols. I support Meredith's work on the DIB STEM grant, and I also work on some other digital-related things at Sinclair.
Our other teammate who couldn't be here today is Elizabeth Generous, who is also a program manager on this grant as well as another and works with Ryan. So just to give you a bit of an overview about the symposium is going to be here at Sinclair in Dayton, Ohio on April 10th. And we have 4 big outcomes that we're hoping for from this symposium. One is to give you an overview of this digital transformation curriculum that we have developed. We're also going to have a panel of academic experts, and they're going to talk about the need for a skilled workforce in digital transformation. The afternoon is going to be workshops, and these workshops are going to be hands-on, where you can explore how this curriculum can actually be used and adapted in a lot of different ways. And these workshops are then going to be able to also prepare you to apply for funding to be able to support the adoption of this curriculum. So when we're talking about curriculum replication, we are talking about something that's actually pretty broad in our definition of replication. We're not talking about taking the curriculum exactly as it is and using it in its current form in that kind of plug and chug manner. What we're talking about is something really modular. It's taking the curriculum and using the pieces of it that make sense and adapting it for the institution and using it in a way that works within that institution's current ecosystem. So there's lots of different ways that this curriculum can be utilized and adapted to different institutions and their different ecosystems. So some of this could be academic coursework. So this could be creating courses or programs or inserting the curriculum into existing courses and programs. It could also be used for college credit plus coursework or certificate and other degree programs. This could also be used for workforce development. So this would be more like non-credit coursework. These could be single topic workshops or taking a variety of the pieces of curriculum and creating survey workshops. You can use this curriculum for teacher training, kind of a train the trainer model where instructors would use this curriculum for those who are then going to instruct on these topics. And it can also be used for credentialing. This applies a little bit more towards automation and robotics, which there is A&R curriculum available through Lorain County Community College, which if you're interested in that, we do have the contact information for them. This symposium, however, is going to focus on digital transformation. So a little bit more in depth about the symposium. As we said, we're going to go through the digital transformation curriculum. We're going to give you a preview of that today and what we have in the curriculum and the topics, but at the symposium, we're actually going to go more in depth, actually show you some pieces of that curriculum so you can really see what our curriculum entails. And then we did say we're going to have a panel of experts. We're going to have academic experts come in, as well as hopefully some people who've actually been through a previous symposium and are looking to utilize our curriculum to talk to you about the need for a skilled workforce in digital transformation and how this type of curriculum can help achieve that. These workshops, oops, Brian, thank you. Now the workshops in the afternoon, these workshops are then going to help you look at this curriculum and how it can actually be adapted. So working through hands-on, looking at what might be your goals for the adoption of this curriculum, how to choose your target populations for who would be utilizing it, how it can be adapted. So what would you use this for? Would you use it for workforce development workshops, or would you insert it into existing courses, or maybe use it to help create a certificate program? How that timeline would look and how to create a timeline for curriculum development, and then what key personnel would need to be involved throughout this process. Now, these workshops, not only would you leave with a plan for how to utilize the curriculum, but they also provide the key information that's needed for that funding application for the additional funding to support the adoption of the curriculum. So to give you a little bit of background about this funding, since most of you aren't as familiar with this project. So this funding is supported by a grant award from the DoD National Defense Education Program, the NDEP. So our funding award is called the Ohio TechNet Defense Industrial Base STEM Consortium. So you may see it as a bunch of acronyms, the OTN DIB STEM Consortium. Now, the consortium is a group of 11 universities and colleges that came together to really spread digital transformation across Ohio. So as you can see from the list, the top two are Lorain County Community College, which is the PI, and then Sinclair Community College, which is the co-PI. And then there are 9 other institutions from which all of you have been invited that are a member of this consortium that have agreed to look at the automation robotics from Lorain County Community College and the digital transformation curriculum to adopt these curricula to provide additional opportunities for training in digital transformation skills across Ohio. So with this funding, the 9 schools that are in red at the bottom currently have a $45,000 subaward to help support curriculum replication. So this already exists at these institutions. And what we are offering through this symposium is an additional $30,000 to bring that award up to $75,000. The hope is that it helps make this a little bit more doable and more funds to play with to help support the replication of this curriculum. So these funds in total, between the subaward that is current at $45,000 and the additional $30,000, these can be used for supplies, but there is a cap on supplies at $5,000. Personnel hours, which is the biggest bucket in this, contracted services, travel expenses, and credential assessments, although those credentialing is more for automation and robotics. And as I mentioned, going through those workshops in the afternoon of the symposium will really set you up to be able to easily submit that funding application. The timeline for this is the symposium is on April 10th. For first consideration, applications are due on May 10th, but we will consider applications after this date on a rolling basis. Applications will be reviewed and funding will be awarded by June 30th, no later than, and the funding award period ends May 31st, 2025. There is some reporting that follows these funds. Most of these institutions that are on this consortium already are on an IRB with Lorain County Community College, so that part is for the most part taken care of. The reporting includes things like what courses and programs were developed, learner demographics, participation, and outcomes. Report formats will be provided along with due dates for that. You will also be freely given support throughout the entire process. So Lorain County Community College is the lead on this, And then Sinclair Community College would be giving open support to anyone who would like to develop curriculum in digital transformation and adopt what we have. And then Lorain County Community College would support automation and robotics.
All right, so getting a little bit into some of the specifics of what we're offering here, talking a little bit about the framing of our curriculum, what we're hoping to achieve, and where we think this curriculum would add value to your home institutions. So I'm not sure if any of you have heard of the term digital thread, but this is a central theme in which our course and materials are built around. So to give you an analogy to think about digital thread through, imagine you're building a complex machine like a car. And as you see here on the screen, each part of that car, from the smallest screw to the biggest engine, has a story associated with it. That story includes things like where it came from, how was it made, who tested it, how was it tested, how was it then assembled into the final car. Um, Now imagine there's a digital record for each one of these components and each one of those interactions. Imagine that this information can update in real time as that part moves throughout its life cycle, becoming a final product. Digital thread is that system that enables all this information to be captured, stored, and accessed. Um, Certain industries may need more specific information and need to drill down to the minutia, specifically thinking about aerospace and defense, which is where a lot of the digital thread terminology has incepted from. Overall, digital thread supports broader digital transformation efforts, focusing on this idea of how can we generate and capture data in a way that helps drive business decision making. So it's really important in workforce contexts, but there's also a lot of academic rigor that can be driven into with the specifics. So what exactly is digital thread? I know I gave you an analogy to think about it, but the definition that we're working with here is a digital thread is a data-driven architecture that connects all of the digital footprints of a product throughout its life cycle. Practically, in reality, it's a combination of hardware, things like IoT scanners, software, things like product lifecycle management software, manufacturing execution software, things that help automate shop floors and factories, and enterprise resource planning software, which takes a lot of disparate business processes and integrates them into the one platform. Another thing that's really important here that is centered in our course too, is human evaluation. So as we're talking about digital transformation, it's really important for us to acknowledge that it's going to change the way humans work, and being on the forefront of trying to understand how humans can work in collaboration with technology to design effective systems is a really core central part of the course we're working on. So talking about data and some of the data that we can be capturing throughout the life cycle of a product, this is definitely not exhaustive, but once again, just trying to give you a few examples to help concretize the understanding of digital thread in the context that we're talking about it. So going through the design process, maybe we're generating data through CAD drawings or CAD designs, things like version control, product specifications, all the information about a specific product or a component that goes into making that product, we can capture in different software systems. In manufacturing, we can collect a whole lot of data, but the most simple data we can collect is maybe how efficiently are we using all of the machines in our factory? What is the takeaway data from QA testing, and how are we ensuring the quality of the product that we're developing? Moving through the life cycle, we can think about delivery and logistics, thinking about the data we can collect around on-time deliveries. What are our customers reordering? How can we forecast demand? How can we optimize the routes of our shipping and logistics operations to more effectively and efficiently produce the outcomes that we want? And then thinking about the usage of the products. Going back to that car example, how most cars today, they have sensors within them that are sending back information to their OEMs to help car manufacturers build better products based on how they're used. An important key part of the digital thread here is it supports that bi-directional communication of data. So maybe changes in usage will impact how we manufacture, how we design, how we ship to produce a better experience for our end user. So why does this matter? overall, digital thread allows us to test hypotheses quickly and inexpensively. And we can drive innovation through tools like rapid prototyping and continuous improvement. Digital thread is brought up a lot in context of 3D printing and rapid prototyping, where we can, instead of bringing something to market and having it be tested by our end customers, we can test things in-house and collect data along the way that helps drive better products moving forward. We can also reduce waste. A huge important aspect of digital thread is sustainability, and especially as we're moving in new industries like semiconductors, electric vehicles, a lot of considerations to be about how we're maintaining and supporting sustainability through being mindful of our waste production. And overall, quality and safety is a huge concern, especially in industries like aerospace, where we have planes flying in the sky. We want to make sure, I know we've seen some things in the news recently about how deprioritizing things like this can result in some catastrophic failures that really impacts how end customers feel about the safety of your product. And ultimately, it's all centered around driving end value to the user. So how can we increase our business prospects by adding more value? And as I mentioned, digital thread is a term that it's brought up a lot in defense, aerospace and contracting, but really its implications can stretch across many different fields and industries. So I know we've talked about digital thread, and we opened this up talking about digital transformation. So how do they fit together? Digital thread fits into the digital transformation umbrella. Digital transformation is this broader overview of the process of adopting technology to improve products and business outcomes. Digital thread is a methodology that envisions a utopic data flow in which we have perfect access to all the things that we need to collaborate, connect with our stakeholders, and make sure we're building good products. So overall, digital thread is enabling the Industry 4.0 technologies that drive digital transformation. Centered around this core idea that I've discussed, we have the ability to collect infinite types of data. So how do we decide what data is most important? How do we make that data visible? And how do we make that data usable? These are all core ideas that we're exploring in our course, which we'll get into the details later, but definitely is an introductory exposure to all the things that I've discussed here over the course of 15 modules. So I'll pass it back to Meredith to talk a little bit more about digital transformation in the workforce.
Thank you, Ryan. So Ryan led into this really well, and into the workforce side of things, digital transformation is a process that is happening right now across industries, and we are seeing that impact continuously. So this is some data from Rockwell Automation, and one of the pieces of data that came from this is that 48% of manufacturers actually expect to grow their employment as a result of technology adoption. And while we are seeing this technology adoption, one of the struggles that they are having is with, as you can see on the left-hand side, is they are struggling to find a skilled workforce. And one of the obstacles they are finding with overcoming their competitors are the top two things that they named is training employees on current updated processes and also change management, having employees to effectively use new technologies or to implement them. So these are really two of the big things that they are struggling with currently. Now coming down to Ohio, these are Jobs Ohio numbers. Ohio is the third largest manufacturing workforce in the nation, and we have the fourth largest manufacturing GDP of any state. And Ryan really led into this well, is that digital transformation is really interdisciplinary. So when we look at digital transformation, we're not just talking about one job field that is leading digital transformation. It is many different fields coming together to create digital transformation, and they all have to work together for this to be functional. So down here we have an example of digital thread. And to create a cohesive digital thread, you need many different roles from many different fields all coming together to create a cohesive digital thread. Now, the fields that you need may vary from one industry to another, but it is an interdisciplinary field regardless. So, for example, you may need product development, advanced manufacturing, supply chain logistics, data management and integration, sales and customer service, defense contracting, and cybersecurity. You may have people from many different fields in different roles working together to create this cohesive end-to-end flow of data, which is this digital thread. And this is really something that we have taken into account in looking at our curriculum. And speaking of our curriculum, we're going to talk a little bit about what we have to offer. So as we mentioned, we have digital transformation curriculum, and it is at its core interdisciplinary. What we have to offer is a 15-week content. It could be used as a 15-week 3-credit course, but we create it in its essence to be modular, so that while you could use it as a cohesive 15-week 3-credit course, you can also pull pieces from it and use those individually. We have throughout the course a hypothetical products lifecycle that we follow through each module. Modules run week to week, so you can follow this products lifecycle as we move through the different topics week to week. And then there is a capstone project that we've created at the end, where students would use critical thinking skills and apply what they've learned throughout the course to this capstone project. In terms of the contents of the curriculum itself, there are 15 modules, and each module has 3 lessons. So this is where it could be built as a 15-week 3-credit semester-long course. Each lesson has lecture-style content. We've also created case studies for every module, and there are multiple case studies for most of the modules. We've also created hands-on activities, and one of the things we really took into consideration is a lot of institutions do not have funds to buy equipment. They may not have access to equipment. So what we've created are activities that are low barrier and low cost activities. These are things that may not either require equipment or use open source software, or are quite cheap to where it would not be a barrier to get materials for these types of activities. Every module also has lesson plans. So there are already pre-written lesson plans for every module that can be picked up and used. And as I mentioned, you can take a module and use it as a standalone piece of curriculum apart from the other content. In terms of the topics within this course, we have, as I said, 15 modules. So we have what is digital transformation, an introduction to product lifecycle management, problem solving with rapid prototyping, data-driven manufacturing, digital thread supply chain logistics, data acquisition and management with digital thread and quality assurance, industrial data preparation and management, data analysis, visualization, and reporting for I4.0, digital twin technology, cybersecurity with digital thread, AI and industry application, human factors and change management with digital transformation. And then there is this capstone project, which, as I said, is really it's made as a group project where they will really work together to solve a real world problem using what they've learned throughout this course, and then present that project solution to the course. Ways that this could be adopted. This can be adopted, as I said, as a full 15-week 3-credit course with all of the materials that are present. You can also take pieces that make sense for you. This could be taking individual modules. This could be taking just the activities. So there are pieces that could be taken on its own and incorporated into other pieces of coursework, or turned into something else that is a credit type piece of coursework. These would also work well as workforce development workshops. So it's either single topic or survey workshops, and also for teacher training, that train the trainer model. As I mentioned, we will be giving you some previews of the curriculum, actually bringing pieces of it with us to show at the symposium on April 10th. to let you see what it looks like and walk you through some of the pieces. You can see what a case study or some of these other activities might look like. And then that funding is available to help support the adaptation and the adoption of this curriculum. Because this curriculum is interdisciplinary, we do see a lot of areas of alignment for it, where it could be pieces of it inserted into existing coursework or used in other areas. And we do encourage you, if you know someone who might be interested in this, that's either not on this call, but you know someone at your institution, please feel free to share this information with them. We'd be happy to speak with someone else that you might know that might be interested in this as well. Now, our work is just a smaller part of a larger digital transformation initiative here at Sinclair. So there actually are other projects going on in digital thread and digital transformation. One of those is the Digital Thread Initiative. And one of the things that came from that was a different set of curriculum. It was a short-term technical certificate that's 16 hours. It was piloted in the fall of 2023. This curriculum itself is not available for funding through this initiative because it was created under a different funding stream. But there is a lot of other work going on in this space at Sinclair, and we're very excited to be one part of a much larger digital transformation initiative here in Sinclair. So kind of just to wrap it up, and I'll open the floor for questions here in a second. Symposium is on April 10th. Sinclair Conference Center from 8 to 3. I do expect it to end a little bit earlier than 3, but I did put 3 p.m. there. The registration is open. You can go to that QR code. It's also in the email that I sent out. It's a $100 registration fee. However, I did mention you do have that $45,000 subaward at your institution. You can use those funds to pay for both the registration and travel expenses because travel is part of that subaward. And just to wrap up, I am the main point of contact for this. If you do have questions, I'm Meredith Rogers, the program manager for the OTN DIB STEM grant. Elizabeth Generous is also another contact for the digital thread. And we can flip back to the previous slide if you want to be able to access the registration site. But we are happy to answer any questions that you might have. And thank you to everyone who came today.
Hi, Meredith. Thank you for your time. This is Larry Feist. I'm with Cincinnati State Technical Community College right down the road from you.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. This is interesting. I have a few questions.
Yeah.
And, you know, just, I mean, don't take it on personal. I'm just trying to figure this out. Okay. So, has the modular curriculum, which you're deeming digital transformation, already been developed? It was developed by you or OhioNet or Department of Defense?
So the curriculum
developed on this grant?
Yeah, it's been developed by us. So we are the ones that have developed it. And we are actually continuing to develop pieces as we go as well. So while we have the 15 modules laid out, we do plan to continue development beyond those 15 as well. So if you were to adopt this curriculum, as we develop more pieces, we would also make those available to you as well.
Okay, so Cincinnati State, I was reading the original email before the thing came on, like everybody on here has already been awarded 45,000.
Correct.
Was that for like Cincinnati State to already utilize this curriculum, or what's that 45K for?
Yeah, that is for program replication, but for curriculum replication. So that has been set aside for that. And then there's an extra 30,000 that if you need additional funds to help support curriculum replication, you can apply for extra money on top of that 45,000 as well.
Okay, so that's how that's to be spent. And that's how the 45K that we're receiving is already to be spent. It's replicating this curriculum you developed.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Just for some clarity, or the robotics and automation curriculum offered
Well, that's what
by
I'm more
Lorraine.
interested in personally, because I have an electromechanical program at Cincinnati State.
Okay.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Now, you guys developed this under this same grant, the Department of Defense grant, or is this an Ohio grant, Ohio TechNet grant?
This is a DoD grant.
Okay. So does this go back to DoD? They have rights to this then as well?
Um,
I'm just curious because in grants in the past I developed, you had to turn stuff back over, and I didn't know if
Yeah.
or is this being developed for them and just being tried through the Ohio community colleges, or
Oh, this will actually be eventually released as open source curriculum.
okay?
Yeah,
All
so
right.
it's not like a response to a contract where the government owns the curriculum and materials. It was a grant where the purpose of the grant was to replicate programming in digital thread, digital transformation. So the curriculum was
Okay.
Yep.
developed under that award, but not necessarily bound to DoD in that sense.
Yeah, because some of their grants are like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Which
I'm involved with one of those before, and I was just curious, like where this was heading.
100%, yeah.
Yep. This will be freely available.
So the 45K and the 30K could also go towards the robotics curriculum.
Correct.
So it's not this digital transformation specifically. I know you're putting that under that, I guess, under that umbrella.
Yeah, and actually we had a symposium a month ago in February, and we actually had someone put in 2 applications, one for both the automation and robotics and for the digital transformation curriculum. So it can be used for both.
Okay. Because I wasn't sure what Cincinnati State put in for. I wasn't involved at that level when they were partnering with you.
Okay, we don't have an application from Cincinnati State yet for either.
Oh, I thought you said that all of us already had received 45.
Sorry. I know it's the confusion because you haven't been on this. So the subaward was given at the very beginning of this grant to everyone that was a part of it, and that subaward has been there. This is just an additional 30 that we're
Oh, no,
offering.
right. No,
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So we do have the 45. I don't know
Yep.
if we spent it all or not. My dean was on, but I think he's off now.
Oh no, it's okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I know
so-
these are some questions for my own institution.
Okay.
How I've been involved with some industry 4.0, also ISO 10006. How is this different than like ISO 10006 in some respects?
We're covering a lot of we actually I was just looking at curriculum we built on government regulations. So the goal with our digital transformation curriculum is to kind of flashing back to that slide that showed digital thread at the center point of a bunch of different careers and industries. The goal being, how can we build an interdisciplinary skill set as a primer to someone that maybe doesn't have any experience with Industry 4.0 or digital transformation at all, to give a broad overview of potential things that they could then drill down on and specialize and focus on. So while we're mentioning things like this course is specifically designed for somebody that doesn't have exposure to really any of Industry 4.0 concepts, to help them kind of focus on, okay, like, where is my unique fit here? Does that make sense? So while that specific qualification you mentioned, we mentioned government regulations and different regulatory frameworks that help drive digital transformation efforts, but we're not focusing as much on the specific minutia of each regulation, but rather what are the different components in each step of a product's life cycle that we can think about how we can be smarter about collecting data and using data in these contexts.
So some of your modules are really actually tangible.
Yeah,
I'm having a tough time in general when there's a lot of high level terminology. So some of your modules are actually like, yeah, you need to buy this kind of software and do this.
Not necessarily. It's more like it's like, here's the landscape of enterprise resource management software. Here's what an ERP does. Here's are the considerations you'd have to go through if you were working for a company that was trying to onboard an ERP. It's less like you have to get an ERP and do this specific example in this ERP, but more so like building the framework of like the thought process of like what goes into adopting different software and technology, and what should we be thinking about as we're doing this to be successful in something like digital transformation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Of course. And Meredith and I are both available for any questions too. So if there's any follow-up as you guys think a little bit more about this, or if you're interested in the other programming that has been mentioned as well, we're certainly here as resources to help you as we can.
Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions or thoughts?
I know the Lorraine automation and robotics are not going to be covered on April 10th, correct? And I know there's a link to a video and stuff like that.
Yeah, correct.
Will there be a hands-on for that in the future?
At
A
the
webinar or something?
Yeah, so yeah, the symposium is not going to cover A&R, but I can give you the contact information for Lorraine if you would like it, and they can set you up with the contacts there. I don't know at the moment if they are planning to do another symposium specifically for A&R, but they can give you that information, or they can just link you directly to the person who can tell you a lot more about their curriculum as well, and do just kind of like a one-on-one with you as well.
Okay, because I think there was one on those already and I missed it.
Yeah, that was February 2nd, but I can definitely, will make a note here to give you Lorraine's contact information. I'll email you. And
Okay,
and they can let you know who to get a hold of to learn a lot more about their specific curriculum.
And I did just find they do have the entire 36-minute presentation out there on YouTube.
Yeah, we do have a lunch and learn from that previous symposium for Lorraine. Yep.
From the February 2nd one. All right, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, and this lunch and learn will also be sent out as well as a video. So you're welcome to share this video as well. I'll upload it to YouTube and send out the link.
You said there's sessions in the afternoon?
Yeah, those are the workshops in the afternoon.
Yeah, how long are those scheduled for? I don't think you have them quite defined yet, right? Or
yeah, so most of the morning will be the introduction to the curriculum and the discussion panel, and then late morning into lunch, and then early afternoon is the workshops, and then I think we'll be out probably no later than 2:30.
okay, so I have a 4 to 6 and a 6 to 10 class that night.
Okay. Yeah,
I
we'll
may have to bug
early.
out a little early, just get back and set up lab, etc.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Any other questions we can answer for anyone? And again, if you think about something afterwards, please feel free to reach out to us.
I think I'm good. You answered all my questions. Thank you.
Oh,
Thanks,
you're
Larry.
welcome. Yeah, and thanks for coming. Okay, we'll stick around if there's any other questions. If not, we will share this video with you afterwards. I'll send an email out with the link, and we hope to see you at the symposium on April 10th.